national football teams. Amajita opened their FIFA Under-20 World Cup campaign in Poland against Argentina on Saturday. Banyana Banyana will be competing in the FIFA Women's World Cup in France next month, while Bafana Bafana will appear in 2 tournaments. The COSAFA Cup takes place in Durban early next month, followed by the Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt later in June. Bafana Bafana coach Stuart Baxter is about to name his squads for the 2 tournaments, so let's cross live to SAFA House at the Nasrec Centre for the announcements.
The team doctor of Bafana Bafana, Tulani Ngwenya. I saw the general manager of football business at SAFA, Mr. Mafurvani, and I saw Daryl Kutris, head of marketing at SAFA. Colleagues at SAFA, welcome. Members of the media, once again, you're most welcome. That's out of the way, so let's get on to it. Mr. Sandile Mkari, you here to hear for yourself for the announcement of the squads. Can you just say a few words to the teams?
Thank you, Prom Director, Stuart Baxter, the coach, and members of SAFA and members of the media. Is it good morning? It's just after midday, so good day. I didn't get a chance to congratulate the coach for qualifying. Thank you, sir, for making the country proud, and your team as well. I just want to say from the national carrier South African Airways, we are extremely proud to see the team qualifying. I think if those who remember when we announced our partnership in 2016, we had said that we were excited about Vision 2022, and we think that it's now bearing fruit because most of our teams are making it to major tournaments, and we cannot be prouder to see Bafana Bafana going to Egypt to represent us. So we just want to wish them well at the tournament, and also congratulate the team that will be announced today for both COSAFA and Afcon. We remain behind the team every step of the way, and we call on all South Africans to do the same. This is our team. We are proud of them, proud of the boys, and we just want to wish the team, the technical team, and everybody who supports Bafana all the best, and we hope they'll make us proud. And the vision, of course, is just longer than just the tournament in Egypt. We are looking ahead of that, and yeah, so we just want to say, make us proud, boys, and we are fully behind you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much to Sandile Mkari. I also saw in our midst the SAFA Technical Director, Mr. Neil Tovi. You're most welcome, sir. You probably know better than any of us the tournament that you will be going into, that is the Afcon. So just a bit of background on the Afcon, on the COSAFA rather. It's the this will be the 19th edition of the COSAFA Cup. It will be held in Durban. As you can see the dates there, 25th of May to the 8th of June. 3 countries, Madagascar, Namibia, 4 countries, Madagascar, Namibia, South Africa, and Zimbabwe will be going to the Afcon. We heard this morning that Angola is pulled out, if you haven't heard. And the semi-final and the finals will be played at the iconic Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban. King Zwelitin and Princess Makoko Stadiums will be used earlier in the competition for the group stage matches. And Sugar Ray Kulu Stadium and Chatsworth Stadium will be the training venues. Zimbabwe are the defending champions. They won last of their record 6 titles in Polokwane. Most of you, or some of you were there. They beat Zambia 4-2 in the final. And Zambia and South Africa have 4 titles each, so we have a chance to grab another one. Angola has 3, Namibia has only 1. So that was the COSAFA Cup draw. As you can see, South Africa goes straight into the quarterfinals, where they'll be facing Botswana. The winning quarterfinalists advance to the semis, and the losers move to the plate competition. And we most definitely don't want to see ourselves there. So there we go. That is Bafana Bafana's match on Sunday, the 2nd of June, at the Princess Makoko Stadium at 3 o'clock. South Africa versus Botswana. And this will be a repeat of the 2016 and 2018 plate final deciders, which South Africa won, if you still remember. There's a brief history of Bafana Bafana in COSAFA Cup. Our last win, that is winning the tournament, was in 2016. And South Africa, as you're well aware, is one of the 2 COSAFA members who have won the Afcon, the other being Zambia in 2012. The men's COSAFA, or the senior men's COSAFA team, is COSAFA Cup is one of 6 tournaments that will be hosted by COSAFA. As you can see there, we've got the COSAFA Women's Championship, which where Banyana Banyana are the defending champions. We've got the Under-20 Women's Championships. Championship. We've got the Under-17 women, Under-17 boys, as well as the Under-20 Championship for men, which will be played in Zambia. You can see the dates there, and you can see that the Banyana Banyana and the Under-20s will be running concurrently. Both will be played in Port Elizabeth. So now, let me hand over to the man of the moment, David Notwani, who's the head coach of the COSAFA Cup squad, to say a few words and then announce his team. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, folks. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Afternoon. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the reminder. To the SAFA hierarchy, under President Dr. Jordan, the leadership of SAFA under CEO Russell Paul, the technical department under the leadership of Niltovi, and friend Hilton, I think I've seen her somewhere, head of medical Dr. Ngwenya, the sponsors, Mr. Mkari, members of the media, all protocol observed. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to be part of this momentous occasion where we are about to present to you the COSAFA team. And of course, for me, I must be grateful as well to Coach Stuart Baxter, Bafana Bafana coach, assistant coach, Mulifinzeki, for presenting us the opportunity, the under-23 team, to take up the challenge of making the country proud at COSAFA. Of course, you are aware that our third round qualifier for the Olympic Games has been postponed to September. So therefore, that rendered our program a little bit, broken down or disjointed, because we were looking forward to complete our qualification process for COSAFA. Having said that, it means therefore that our participation in the COSAFA Cup is a two-pronged approach, where with Bafana Bafana, Coach Stuart, Coach Mulifi will be jointly involved in terms of putting the team together that we are about to present now to represent us. And of course, for us, it gives us an opportunity as the under-23 team to have preparation for our game that is coming up in September, to check our permutations in terms of new players that have been on the horizon, and of course also to continue from where we left off against Angola. On that note, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to present to you the squad that will be representing South Africa under the banner of Bafana Bafana for the COSAFA tournament as outlined. Yeah. Oh, I thought it's coming up on the screen there. Okay. Thank you, folks. In goal, we have Mondli Mpoto, Darren Johnson, and Riyad Peterse, who comes in as a senior as part of the joint venture with Bafana Bafana, obviously announcement going forward for their preparations for Afcon. Defenders, Tendo Mugumela, Kiano Cupido, Rip Frosler, Teshias Malepe, Katleo Mohamed, Bongani Sam, and Sandilem Tetwa. The midfielders, Tebo Mukwena, Atinko Sidlala, Sipom Bule, Kamuelo Mahlatsi, Grant Magaman, Chemi Weber, sorry. I'm reading off my list. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. Folk says there, okay, Kigindoli as part of our midfield and attackers. Kauhelo Sikota. Okay, I've mentioned Sipombula already. Apologies for that. The chronological order of the team is not consistent with the presentation. They have mentioned Kamoelo Matlatsi already. That completes our midfielders. Can we go to the forwards? Yep. Pagamani Matambi. Lerato Zakele Lepasa. Jamondre Dickens. Luther Singh. And Liam Jordan. So that completes our complement of 23 players as we present them now to represent us in COSAFA. Of course, it's a mixture of continuity from the Angola qualification process, and of course, other players as part of Coach Stuart Baxter's Bafana project for Afcon, and of course, us introducing new players as I mentioned already. That has been on our horizon, the likes of Sipombule, Kaugela Sukotsa, who is in Portugal, left winger, who we want to see from international competition level. How far is it from us? Liam Jordan has been doing fantastically well, scoring goals in Denmark. And of course, we are happy and we are confident that we'll represent the country well in this COSAFA tournament. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach David. Apologies for that glitch. Members of the media, we're giving you a chance to pose questions to Coach David regarding the COSAFA squad. If you feel your question is related to Bafana Bafana, please hold on to it. We're still coming to that. But if it says to do with COSAFA Cup, please feel free to ask Coach David anything. Yes, where's the microphone?
Coach David, Mark Stradham, Tisa Blackstar. The obvious one, Dolly will be there with an eye to trying to assess his match fitness and get him match fit for the Afcon squad.
Yeah, of course, thank you for the question, and I'm sure I'll allow also maybe Coach Stuart to chip in. As I mentioned already, that it's a joint venture project where we found a balance between our preparation and Bafana Bafana's preparation for Afcon. Of course, Keegan Dolly, we know his challenges with injuries throughout the season. So when we discussed with the coach, we agreed that let's afford him the opportunity to get more game time after having overcome his injury challenges. He's back to full fitness in his club. So we are happy to help Bafana Bafana in terms of the bigger picture, which is Afcon preparation for Coach Stuart Baxter. And on that note, maybe the coach wants to chip in to add into the response. Thanks.
Yeah. When we sit down, I mean, we were here before, and I was talking to you about our plans and for preparation. Since then, that has changed about 3 times. So I'm going to have to go through that again with you guys and show you the reasons for doing things. One of them was that the under-23s had their own camp. So we designated some of the players to go there for the experience, and therefore they could not take COSAFA, so we had a COSAFA squad in our mind that would be a sort of mixture of senior Bafana players and up-and-coming Bafana players. Now that David's squad are taking this on as a part of their preparation, the challenge we've got is to try and make it meaningful both in the development programme and in preparing for an important event like Afcon. So we've got Riyad Peterson. We have our 3 goalkeepers. If one of those goalkeepers is injured in the preparation, we don't want to be going to pick up a goalkeeper who is 4 weeks on the beach and he's got to go straight in and play an important Afcon game. So Riyad is the one that we're hoping to give game time with David, and therefore will make himself available should we need him. Keegan Dolly actually asked me himself if he could get more game time. He's played in 4 reserve games. His coach says he's 100% fit, so we're not taking a chance with him. We're just allowing him the opportunity to get that game time, to bring up his sharpness, and to be fair, to allow David the opportunity to having a more senior player as a good example to some of the younger players. So we're hoping that in that way, and I'll go into a few of the other things that our thinking. In that way, we make a meaningful event of COSAFA, and I think it's an exciting team. The squad is exciting. We're investing international game time into the right type of players, and it's not without its value for the preparation for Afcon. So, as David said, it's been good. Malefi, myself and David have sat down many times, especially with the changes that have come, with COSAFA changing the dates and David's games being shifted, etc. So we think that we've got a meaningful event here, and in a way some preparation for Afcon, and also going past that. Yeah.
Do you have any more questions for David? There's a microphone, sir.
Tamashabala Joseph M Sports. I think looking at the name, a young man like Lipasa making it into a big tournament like the COSAFA in terms of his age, was his latest heroics part of the reasons why he got selected, what he did in the Nedbank Cup, building up to the final and in the final?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Naturally, yes. But remember, in the last, when we announced our Angola squad, I mentioned that we went through the talent pipeline at the base, and there's a lot of players within the age group that we are working in that we would have loved to have, but we had to leave out for logistical reasons and for lack of, at that time, having enough preparation to test all the players that are available. Lepasa was part of our camp in preparation for Angola. We would have loved to have him going to Angola. Unfortunately, if you remember, TS Galaxy was playing the Nedbank, I think, quarter-final match, if I'm not mistaken, on the Wednesday, upon the end of the FIFA break, which was the Tuesday, when we played against Angola in the second leg. He did very well in our camp against Angola. We're happy with the talent he has shown. And of course, we put the challenge to him to go back to his club, perform better, admirably, which he has done. He has raised his hand. And we are very, very excited that he is showing signs that he's an emerging serious talent in terms of our strike force. So by all means, certainly, yes, his latest performance in the Nedbank warrant for us to really consider him seriously. Still a long way to go for him, but we are excited that he is an emerging talent in terms of the strike force, especially being a challenge area for us in South African football. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Microphone there.
Good morning, Coach. Clyde from supersport.com.
Good afternoon.
Oh, is it good afternoon? Sorry. Coach, I just wanted to find out what's the latest with regards to Nicola Tavares. The last time you spoke about him in the build-up, you said you would have loved to have him. And I see he's not in the squad. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Nicola Tavares, I think you're right. I mentioned that would love to have him, but due to logistical issues in terms of his documentation, his status, in terms of him being South African, we know that he possesses dual citizenship. So we tried our level best, of course, with the help of Coach Stuart Baxter, to try to rope him in this phase. However, challenges rendered that again is not available for us. We know that, of course, his season has been ongoing. So to get him down here to come and sort out his status in terms of acquiring South African passport has been a bit of a challenge, So having said that, of course, the door is not closed for him. He's a talented South African boy overseas. We've engaged him, we've spoken to him, and we remain hopeful that in the near future, we'll have an opportunity to blend him into our talent pipeline, and of course, with a view that in the future, he'll be able to represent South Africa.
Can I just add to that we have been speaking to Nicola, consistently, parallel to documentation trying to be cleared. We don't think that it's going to be cleared in time for registration for COSAFA, but you will see when I announce my squad that Nicola's name will be at the end of the squad, pending passport application. So as you leave this room today, I will be going to Pretoria to sit with the minister and ask him for all of his help to push this through. Is that a guarantee? I'm not sure, but we're going to do our level best.
Yes, sir. Can we take 2 more questions and then we move on to Bafana Bafana that's playing in the Afcon?
Temba Shiba from SABC. Coach, have you chosen your assistant? If yes, can you elaborate on him?
Is that to me or Coach Stuart? Oh, thank you. Yes, of course. If you remember from the last camp against Angola, Coach Kwanelo Kopo was chosen as the assistant, and we'll continue with the same technical team as far as possible. Of course, we know that it's off-season, and other members of the technical staff and support staff might not be available, but we are still engaged, and we'll find the necessary replacements that are, of course, able to deliver the same quality of work that we expect of our technical staff within our SAFA structures. So in answering directly, yes, Kwanelo Kopo will continue as an assistant coach. Thanks.
Without any further questions, thank you very much for those questions. Excuse me. We now move forward. Now we're going to talk about we're going to take matters dealing with Afcon, the 2019 Afcon squad. First of all, just again a brief background on the Afcon tournament. It's the 32nd edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. It will be played in Egypt. Egypt last hosted in 2006. They've run it a record 7 times, as you can see there, so they're doing very well in this tournament. Remember that the tournament was previously played in January. Now it's been moved to June. It will be played now 21st of June to the 19th of July. And also, for the first time ever, there will be 24 nations in the tournament. There's Bafana Bafana's road to Egypt. You remember that we started out in Nigeria, and our last match was earlier this year in Libya, where we won 2-1 against, or rather in Tunisia, where we won 2-1 against Libya. And this took us to the draw, and in the draw we were in Group D. As you can see there, we're with Cote d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast. That's us, South Africa, Namibia, and then Morocco. If you look at the rankings, South Africa is 73rd in the world and 14th on the continent. Morocco is 45th and 4th on the continent, which means they're the highest ranked nation in our group. And Namibia at 28, the lowest ranked nation. So our first match is on Monday, the 24th of June, against Ivory Coast. It will be played at the Al Salam Stadium in Cairo at 16:30. That's against Cote d'Ivoire. And head-to-head against the Ivory Coast, as you can see there, we've played each other 6 times, 4 draws, no losses against Cote d'Ivoire. And our last match against them was in 2014 when we beat them 2-0. The second match will be against Namibia. It will be Friday the 28th of June. It will also take place at the Al Salam Stadium. Fortunately, South Africa does not have to move. And head-to-head against Namibia, you can see there 8 matches played, 2 draws, only 1 loss against our neighbors, our COSAFA member, Namibia. And the last 2 matches we played against them, Coach Stuart Baxter was in charge. And then the final group stages match will be against Morocco, also at the Al Salam Stadium. That will be on Monday, the 1st of July. It will take place at 1800 hours. And there's the head-to-head. We also haven't lost to Morocco. We've played 5 times against them. The last time we met was in 2013 on the 11th of October. And there's the Al Salam Stadium in Cairo. It has a seating capacity of about 30,000, and it's home to Egyptian Premier League side Al Antah Al Harbi, and sometimes plays matches for Al Ahly. It has also hosted Group B in the 2009 FIFA Under-20 World Cup, and it's grass throughout. So in terms of Afcon participation, South Africa, we're making our 10th appearance. Morocco, 17th. Namibia is only their 3rd, whereas Ivory Coast, they've been in it for quite some time. It's their 23rd. And as you can see that Morocco and Ivory Coast were there in the last edition in 2017, whilst our last appearance was in 2015. Namibia, they last were in the tournament in 2008 when they finished in the group stages. All three teams, South Africa, Morocco, and Ivory Coast, have won this tournament at least once. South Africa 1996, Morocco 1976. Some of you were busy with the riots during that time in South Africa. And Ivory Coast was in 1992 and 2015. And now for the Bafana Bafana logistics, I'll hand over to the team manager, Mr. Bani Kujan.
Thank you very much, folks. SAFA leadership, coach, your assistants, Mr. Mukari, members of media, both print and electronic, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you. Ladies and gentlemen, I repeat, I greet you. Colleagues, without wasting time, I thought maybe one day I am going to be given a chance to show off my skill in the field of play, of course. But this time, I think it was the perfect opportunity, having two teams camping at one time under one manager. But when we discussed this with Coach Stuart, we realized that I've just picked up injury now recently when I was trying to do some jokes. You will remember that we are from the draw recently. Coach Stuart assigned his assistant, Mr. Mulifi Ntseki, to go with me. We had the head of delegation. And this brings us to plans that have been made, were made around the tournament, knowing very well that when we arrive in Egypt, where are we staying, where are we training, and when are we leaving? So the Afcon team is going to have their camp on the 3rd or the 2nd of June, up to the 12th. On the 12th, the team will then fly out of the country. We will inform you later on where we want to go, because the other thing is we just want to make sure, Coach, that we don't release every information and these people, they start following us. Remember when we went to Libya, then we told you that it's difficult, we don't know what is going to happen, and the coach, everybody, but we came there, we knew that we are going to pull it 2-1 and we come back. So the Afcon team will be leaving the country on the 12th. In Egypt, we have seen where the team is going to stay in Novotel, and the team training center, it's so perfect. We have no problem with that. And the distances between the stadium, the field, the training field, and the airport, more or less 20 minutes, all of them, because of the traffic. But they are very, very near. The only venue that we did not really see much on it is the playing field, because the playing field was not complete when we were there. There was still no grass. They were still working on it. But we have been assured that come May, which is now, everything will be perfect. And as indicated earlier on, fortunately, our team is based in Cairo, and all the 3 matches of the group stages will be playing them there, which makes it a little bit more easier for us, for team to acclimatize and everything. When you come to the COSAFA team will be leaving on the 26th. They will assemble directly at the airport, OR Tambo, and fly out to eThekwini, Durban. And there the team will be staying at the Marine Parade. And most of the things, the logistics that we will want to tell you about, we will announce it in due course. For this, I want to say thanks, Coach. Thanks, Cloaks. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And let's support the Bafana Bafanas. Not Bafana Bafana, Bafana Bafanas. Both at the COSAFA and Afcon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kujani. And now, without any waste of your time, I know this is the moment you've all been waiting for. The team that will represent the country in Egypt at the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations tournament. Over to you, Mr. Stuart Baxter.
Thanks, Clocks. I won't greet you guys anymore because you've been greeted so much now that if I greet you again, you're going to probably fall asleep. Let's go straight to the cut and thrust of it. First of all, let me continue that. How did we get to what we've got to with David's squad? He's announced that, and there was a lot of to and fro in there. We wanted to make this a part developmental, but part paying attention to 2 important tournaments that we want to compete in and make the absolute best results. So we're not looking to be too developmental and then we make poor performances which pleases no one. So there has to be some development in both of them, and we think we've succeeded with getting enough but not too much. So we will need those old heads, we will need those familiar faces, and we will need to build on what has been happening over the last year and a half. At the same time, we want to bring in a few new faces onto our camp. We want to bring in a few new faces to see that maybe not for this one, but after Afcon, are they international material? And again, I'll say that for you guys and for the public, players in form sometimes equates to an international debut. But players in form are not always potential international players. Maybe because of their age, maybe because of their skill set, maybe because of their mentality. But players in form are not always international players. Benzema didn't go with the French team to the World Cup. There were reasons. So we've tried to put those together. The adjustments we've had to make to the camp have been difficult. You know, when I sit here and I give you these are our plans, and then they change, and then they change, and then they change, and we're at the same time trying to get foreign-based players with passports. It's hard work, and we've all done a lot of work, and sometimes the rug's pulled out from underneath us, and this is no pointing fingers, this is just stating a case. So the squad that we've got together, we will we'll assemble this squad, as Barney said, on around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, around there. And I'm saying that because we're going to try and, again, coordinate the 2 squads. Malefi and myself are going down to support David and maybe do a little bit of work with David and maybe bring a little bit of the rationale of the seniors to David's group and then leave David to it. And then we will move back to Joburg. So the squad, the 3 goalkeepers, Darren Keat, Roman Williams, Bruce Pavuma. And as we said, Riyad Peterson will be active with David's group to make sure that if anything happens there or Riyad plays out of his skin, there is the option to bring him in. Defensive players, Daniel Cardoso, Rivaldo Coetzee, Rama Paklele, Tulani Klatswayo, Innocent Maela, Siso Clancy, Utlun Kunazi, and Tamiam Kize. Again, those players are building on what we know, and at the same time trying to bring in some players that maybe would be the future. Midfield players: Bongani Zungu, Klompo Kakana, Dean Furman, Kama Mokocho, Sugar Mabunda, Tulani Serrero, Tembi Lorch, Temaswani, Fortune Makaringe, Ben Matwari, Keegan Dolly. So Keegan Dolly is also in our squad, and as you saw before, David will be helping him to prepare for Afcon by giving him that international game time and bringing up his sharpness. Front players: Lebo Matiba, Percy Tau, Lars Veldik, Lebo Mabui, Svisiso Bilakazi, Kermit Erasmus. The two players that passport pending is Nicola Tavares and Joel Untersee, both of which, if they get passports, will attach themselves to that squad in Joburg, and we'll find out if they are then of the right material. Are they experienced enough? Do they know how we play? Can they blend with the team? All of those questions, and we will make that decision, and the squad will be cut to 23 before then departing to a place where we will play 2 games before then dropping into Egypt and having the final preparations there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach. Members of the media, now is your cheese. Already there's a hand at the back. If you can just say who you are, sir, where you from?
Tsapotobani, ENCA. Coach, the obvious one, Kermit Erasmus, maybe if you can explain why did you decide to take him to Afcon? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why it's the obvious one, but that's obviously a media thing. No, Kermit is one of the players that has been around us. We chose not to include him in previous camps because I always felt it was too quick. I had a long conversation with Benny McCarthy pre the last camp, where I explained to Benny I thought he'd done a good job with Kermit, putting his arm around him, making him feel important again, and bringing him back into the fold, so to say. I also said to Benny, and he agreed with me, that I couldn't guarantee Kermit that place in Bafana, and I thought when he came back he should be really well equipped and understand the situation, and I think he understands the situation now because he's worked hard during the season. We've selected him as being one of the players that, you know, we've got a nice combination of Lebo Matiba and Percy Tau, and what we're looking at is profiling our players. So Kermit can play both of those roles. He can play a 9 or he can play as the shadow striker, as can Lebo Mabui, and that's why we've Lars Veldik. He's also a 9. He's the one that can play there. We do have others, and we just profiling the players. So Kermit's done well. He's got himself back in the frame, and without promising him anything, he's done well enough to get himself back into the pack.
Yes, sir.
Brabani or Stuart, just you. I did say it earlier.
Your name.
Mark Stradham, Tisa Blackstar again.
Come on, Mark. What's your name?
Mark, tell him you forgot the name.
Hey?
Tell him you forgot your name.
How do you know, Brabani? Okay, sorry. Just in terms of logistics, you did mention there have been changes. I was just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So on June 12, we leave South Africa.
Yeah.
Is the Dubai leg cut out? There was going to be a heat acclimatization. There was also a friendly against Ghana there.
Yeah.
Does that fall away? Have we finalized the friendly in South Africa? I think there was maybe Zambia, but we hadn't confirmed. Yeah. And do we know the friendlies in Egypt?
Right.
And just those logistics, yeah.
Okay, let's let's look at have a bit of patience now, because this could swing backwards and forwards. The initial intention was that in some way that COSAFA would be used as a preparation for Afcon. That very, very quickly, before we had our press conference, that very quickly showed itself to be totally impossible. Hence, you see Angola have pulled out and Madagascar have pulled out because they don't think that they can put together two squads. So that very quickly became impossible. So then we selected a squad that we thought would represent us in COSAFA, and then another one simultaneously would be on camp in Joburg. As a part of that Joburg leg, we said we would leave some doors open for the COSAFA squad, which are still, by the way, I failed to mention that, we still have a couple of players that we have eyes on that we think can, in the event, for example, of Joel and Nicola not getting their passports, we can increase our squad by at least 2. So we could take them up, and probably the younger ones, and invest international game time with them. We were going to go into camp, then go to Dubai. We fixed the game against Ghana on the 15th, and then we were going to go on to Egypt and try to play one more game before the start. What it looks like now, the Dubai leg has been shortened, and let's be honest, that doesn't hurt us financially. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get two games in that leg of the camp, rather than have to go to Egypt and play games there, which is becoming difficult because people don't want to be playing games as you're getting that close to the start of the tournament, which we understand, and which is better for us. So we'll have a preparation part in South Africa. We will go to the Arab Emirates, and we will play 2 games there. That's our intention. One North African and Ghana. And then we will leave and go into Egypt, where we'll have just a purely preparation and polishing part of the camp before the start against Ivory Coast. Day after, the 16th. We'll leave on the 5th. We'll play on the 15th. Leave on the 16th. 12th. So what we'll do is we'll fly into Dubai just to play the 2 games. Yeah.
There's a microphone there.
Coach, over here.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, Benjamin from Newsroom Africa. Mark's already covered my first question. The other one is, but by his own admission, Ronwen hasn't exactly taken his chances in the Bafana squad. But would you say this award of goalkeeper of the season, and having played all of SuperSport's games this season, perhaps places him one step ahead in the pecking order, ahead of Darren, who perhaps hasn't played as much as he would have liked towards the end of the season?
It's a good point, because Darren actually, another one, called me and asked me, do I play in COSAFA? This was before he got back into the team and played a couple of games at the back end of the season. Look, I think I've said before that Ronwen and Darren are so close that it usually comes down to opponents, how are they training, practice games, and it will be the same. What I would say about Ronwen is that sometimes I feel that he doesn't feel he's as good as we do. You know, he's such a talented goalkeeper, but sometimes he has this, maybe he has old baggage that he can't put down. But I think he needs to believe in himself more, because he's a very talented goalkeeper. Darren has shown a very strong mentality, and he's a stubborn professional that doesn't want to give away his place. So that's usually a good fight when we're on camp. Now, maybe the award will help Ronwen to put down some of that baggage and maybe put him in a better space to make another fist of it and see if he can get the number 1 spot. But for us, it's for Malefi and myself, it's a constant source of energy, because you see those two and a young buck going at it in training, and it's there's a lot of energy there, so it's great. But it's a good question. I think it will help him.
Coach Mbali Hlope from KFM. Coach, North Africa, especially Egypt, can be very intimidating. And going to such a major tournament, do you think there's a need for a sports psychologist? And also, with the recent bombing that took place on Sunday, I know it's got nothing to do with sports, but surely that also can affect players, as the players' psyche ahead of the tournament, because they may be really not sure what is really going on, having known the history of Egypt in the last few years.
I think the players understand through their club experiences, and if they didn't understand it before, when we went to Libya to play Libya in Tunisia, we saw how intimidating it can be. So I think the players did very, very well to cope with that. Security on site, I'm sure, will be bumped up now. But I played in Northern Ireland when I was with England in the middle of the riots, where they said to us, if it kicks off, assemble in the centre circle, and we'll drop a helicopter and get you out of there. That was pretty intimidating, but I think the only way you can deal with it is by focusing completely on football. And that's all I'll be speaking about to the players. You know, the more I speak about this psychologist is going to help you to deal with the bomb threats, I don't think I'm going to help the players. So I will try and get us into a bubble. I'll try and get us into a little bit maybe of a siege mentality, and say that we're here to play football. We're not here to think politics. We're not here to worry about what may happen. We're here to make sure that we give the best performances that we can give. And I think anything less than that, and you're treading a very, very dodgy road. You know, I mean, let's be fair. We can go anywhere in the world today. You know, my family live in probably one of the most civilized places in the world, in Sweden, where you think things are so easy going. Not less than a month ago, in the little sleepy village that we lived in, someone was decapitated. Someone that was absolutely out of his tree on drugs had tried to chop the head off a young girl. Now, that can frighten the living daylights, and I could sell my house and move somewhere else, but unfortunately, we are living in that world. Before we went to, I'll tell you this, I don't know if I should really, but before we went to Libya, a doctor told me that he thought I'd got cancer. I went to Tunisia, and I said, no, I'm not going to get tested. I want to go. I've got a game to play. I don't want that in my mind. Bloody difficult, trying to coach a team when you think you could have cancer. I got back, and they did the test, and it was okay, thank goodness. But, you know, we have to deal with those things. I dealt with it. The lads will deal with it, and when we get there, I'll only be focused on enjoy this event, enjoy this, and make the country proud. That's it. I don't want to be thinking about too much. And I understand your question, because it's a relevant point. But our job is to get there and make sure that sport is the main motivator for us, and making people proud, and not concentrating on the negatives, by just saying, listen, we're here to enjoy this. We've done well as a team to get here. We're not here as tourists, and we're certainly not here to worry about the politics of the country or the leanings of this group against that group. No, we're there to go and win football games. So, probably to answer your question, I don't think the psychologists will be there for that reason. If we do, it'll be for different reasons.
Coach, John D. Mark from the Citizen newspaper. If I can count, which is debatable, there's 28 players plus the two, plus Tavares and Unterseer makes 30, and you've got to whittle that down to 23.
Yeah.
So the fact that there are 5 more players there, doesn't that make it a little bit more difficult for the players who are playing in the COSAFA Cup to stake their claim? I mean, it's going to be to the squad. And then when will you announce your final 23? And also just a couple more small things. You said in a previous press conference you were going to take some youngsters along to Egypt for the ride.
Can you hold on to that one? We'll come to it. That's the third question. So
no, the other one's just Mark Fish. What's the latest on Mark Fish?
Okay. Let's take that one to start with. Well, I think the leadership are talking to Mark about how we would best sort this out. He's meant to be going down to COSAFA and then following us on in the capacity that I mentioned in terms of player liaison and then